Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa. Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, downtown Northport, West Alabama, wherever you're watching the Joe Gaither Show, right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're looking at us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. And we appreciate everybody tuning us in. You can find us on all the social medias at Joe Gaither6. Send us your comments, your questions, your queries, and complaints. We're going to have a lot of fun the rest of the week. We had a good show yesterday, a lot of fun yesterday with our commenters and talking about the LSU Tigers, getting off a bye week and getting into rivalry week. Recapping the weekend, we talked a little bit about Alabama baseball's fall ball scrimmage and just hit a little bit on Alabama basketball's fall scrimmage, second scrimmage against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Both kind of mixed results for the Crimson Tide, but we're going to keep it rolling here on a beautiful Tuesday. Just got back from the Naylor Stone Media Room, talking to Kool-Aid McKinstry, talking to Chris Braswell, and our friend J.C. Latham. You can read about it all right there at BamaCentral.com. Find us on the Twitter machines at Bama Central, at Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated on Facebook, and at Bama Central SI on Instagram. You can read all about Katie Wyndham, Austin Hannon, and myself. So, not nearly as great as Austin and Katie, but you can read all of our work at BamaCentral.com. Before we get into the program, we want to, of course, remind you to subscribe to the other BamaCentral Broadcasting Network podcasts. We have our friends Blue Collar Unplugged, and they are working on a big second episode for the second week of the basketball season, getting going. What are we, 6 days away? 6 days away from Alabama basketball tipping off against Morehead State, and I am very excited to be joined by the president of Crimson Chaos for this episode, Jacob Pickle. You hear me drop his name each and every day. Now you can put a name with a face. Jacob Pickle joins us to talk Alabama LSU, to talk Crimson Chaos, to talk student life, and really Blue Collar Unplugged. So, Jacob, thanks for joining me today. I hope you're having a great day. I know you're getting excited for a big episode later in the afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be on, and having a good day so far. Got a few midterms tomorrow, but once we knock those out, it's home free for LSU game this weekend, and then of course Morehead State coming to town on Monday in Coleman Coliseum. So great to be with you.
You're not planning on being there on Monday, front row Coleman Coliseum, are you?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely
not. Follow Jacob Pickle at Pickle07 on the X machine, and make sure you hear him each and every week on Blue Collar Unplugged. He's going to tell you all about the big episode that they've got planned here in just a minute. But one of the most intriguing things about Jacob Pickle is he is the president of Crimson Chaos. And before we get things rolling, I just got to make sure that I am in good graces with the Crimson Chaos folks, because I kind of got a little stirred up with Crimson Chaos last summer, asking where they were for the preseason scrimmage. With the first time we all got to see Brandon Miller, and people said, all the kids are moved away, everybody's out of town, Joe. And I said, well, come on, you can get anybody to drive to a Coleman Coliseum, wear a hard hat. So I just got to make sure that the relationship with myself and Crimson Chaos is a-okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. If I would have been able to be there last year for the exhibition, we made it happen. But we're in the good graces all together now, Joe, and we're pumped as an organization to get started. I'm really excited to take over and follow in the footsteps of Ethan and Blake and Luke, that have just done a great job of setting up the organization for success, and really just helping to build a relationship with the players and the fans in the university, to where we get to have the privileges that we have and be able to make an impact for all the sports this year. So if you're a student watching and you haven't joined yet, go to My Bama on the Campus Life tab. All the way at the bottom if you're on your phone, all the way to the right if you're on your laptop. $10, you get a free shirt, free early entry to basketball games. A lot of good benefits throughout the year as well. So it definitely something you don't want to miss.
You absolutely need to be a part of Crimson Chaos and be a part of the fastest growing student section in the nation, and really going to be rivaling every other student section you see in the ACC and really anywhere else right here in Coleman Coliseum. I know everybody's talking about, where's the new arena? But these guys keep the energy up, even though, the seating's not always perfect. I want to ask you, Jacob, what's it mean to you? Let's just start off right there off the bat with a sentimental question. Everybody thinks of Crimson Chaos and they think of Luke Luke Ratliff. They think of Fluffopotamus. You're going to be donning the plaid jacket this year as the president, honoring Luke. Just what's it mean to follow in his footsteps? Did you have a relationship with him, being a couple classes removed from Luke Ratliff? And just what does it mean to you to be picking up the torch that he really set fire to?
Yeah, absolutely. He was 3 years above me, so he was president my freshman year, and that was the COVID season. So it wasn't as much of the active student section. I only got to go to 2 or 3 games. So unfortunately, I talked to him a few times during games, but never got to really know him super well. But I mean, it's just like you see the impact he had on people, and it's such an honor to be able to be in that position for me personally. Like I remember being in high school, kind of unsure of what was next for me, but like I knew I was coming to Alabama, and I knew I wanted to be a part of what Luke was doing on campus. And I knew that was something that I wanted off the bat. And so to be able to be in this position, 4 years later, and you'd be able to carry the mantra and don the jacket, it really means a lot. And I've enjoyed getting to know Luke's mom a little bit more. Looking forward to seeing her again this next coming week. But it really is an honor, and I just hope I do a good job of carrying on his legacy.
Well, just be passionate, and that's basically 85% of the battle right there. And I think that you might have that part down. What are we thinking about the Alabama basketball season? First episode of Crimson Chaos, as my dog unplugs the laptop behind me. First episode of Blue Collar Unplugged dropped last week. So you guys talked about a little bit about the dark scrimmage. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about the Wake Forest scrimmage as well. The Boomers and the Casuals see 2 losses right there off the bat. They think, oh my God, this game's going to be no good. Pick 5th in the SEC again. As NATO, it's poked fun at all of us media types at SEC Media Day. I love that, Coach, and I'll pick you 5th every year if you turn around to a double SEC title, if that's the magic formula. Right. But what's the preseason outlook for Jacob Pickle? I talked to Matthew Gibson and Blake Byler up at SEC Media Days. They both were super excited about certain players, but I don't want to influence your answer. What is kind of your outlook on the offseason leading into 6 days away from tipping off?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really excited about this team. I know after last season, it's going to be hard to live up to that dominance throughout the regular season. I mean, going undefeated at home, which I personally I think is something we can and will do again this year. But the margins, like winning games by 50 and it was nothing. And the performance throughout the season. So I think it's going to be hard to live up to that. But I think this team brings a lot of excitement on its own. We didn't have too many returners coming to the team last season, but you had like 5 guys, I think, that came back and were a part of teams before that kind of got Oates' system, didn't have to learn it as much. And this year, with really only like 3 primary returners, Davin Cosby also comes back, but even though he hasn't played the game, but
got himself thrown out of a big game.
Yeah, he did. He did. That's can't be too many people on the list of thrown out of a game but never played in a game yet. With Nick Pringle, Mark Sears, and Rylan Griffin coming back, personally, I think among those 3, I think Mark Sears will just continue to do what he does. He gets points, he gets buckets, and he's consistent. And I think this year he'll step into more of a leadership role that I'm really excited to see him grow in. Rylan Griffin, I think, will take a jump this year. I really do. I think we saw the fruit of that at the beginning and middle of last season of like whenever he got his legs under him and he was confident, like he can be a really good defender. I think that's where he can take a big step this year. He's got length from what we've seen from pictures and media this summer and into the fall. Like he's gotten bigger, he's taller, like more muscular. He's going to be more prepared there. And I think scoring wise, like we'll probably need him to do a little bit more. And I think he's going to do a little bit more in return. I think he's capable of that. So with some of the new guys too, I think Grant Nelson is a unicorn. Truly, like I think you watch and see how he shoots the ball very well for a 6'11" guy. He moves so fluidly. I mean, I think he had a spin off in the TCU game that I just watched, and I was like, man, like I love Charles Bediako, and him and Grant Nelson are very different players. But I think whenever Bediako kind of rolled off down the baseline against Armando Bacot against North Carolina. And the PKI last year, everybody was like, wow, a center can do that. Grant Nelson's going to do that a lot. Like Grant Nelson is very, very capable of that. So I'm really excited about him. So those are just some of the names, with a lot of newcomers as well. I think Estrada is going to be leading point scorer, possibly leading point scorer in the conference. I mean, there's a lot of dudes coming in, but I think it may just take a little bit of time to gel. So having the softer non-con to start is good. And then maybe the regular season, it might take might take playing a few tough road games to really get these guys like all together as a team. And then once we have that, I think there's a lot of potential for a deep run.
Well, let's talk about Alabama football because that's what's on everyone's mind, and we'll circle back to all the basketball before we get you out of here. And we'll make sure we want to plug Blue Collar Unplugged today. Big old episode today. Will y'all end up producing it today, or will it drop in the morning?
It should drop in the morning, so we'll record here in about an hour, and then basically, as long as we can get our production done, it'll be dropping tomorrow morning. And then have it on your way to work, hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll let you reveal the big guest closer to the end and talk about how excited you guys are to have him. Let's talk Alabama football because we're right smack in the middle of the football season. All of our really listeners and viewers are all like, "What's basketball at this point in the year?" Which, come on, guys, we can manage both. We can deal with both. We can be very, very excited, and we will get excited probably closer to Friday and early Monday. But everybody's talking about Alabama LSU. Huge game this weekend. Number 8, Alabama. Number 13, LSU, with playoff implications coming out tonight. College football playoff getting dropped at 6:30 or so tonight. Alabama probably going to be 7, 8, 9 in that range. Don't freak out. Plenty of room to move up. What's the student feel? What's the student feel of this year's team? Because, you had a lot of, no Bryce Young. What can Jalen Milroe do? The offensive line's no good, and now it's better. You've got the defense that's been pretty good all year long. You've been right there in the student sections all year long, manning your duties. Basketball's not the only thing you do. I see you out there at soccer games. I see you pretty much at every event that you guys can be at. What's the student feel of the team? And really more specifically, secondarily, what's the student feel for this weekend's game? Huge game, last SEC game of the year. What's the thought process going into a night game, Bryant-Denny Stadium, celebrating Saturday night?
I think everybody's really excited for this game Saturday. I think for the team as a whole this season, after the last 2 years of kind of a little bit of underperformance, a lot of like Bryce Young just being special and making the team perform at all at times. So losing that, like, there's certainly a level of, the offense had stalled in years past, the first 2 years, or 21 and 22. So that was kind of rough, but then you had Bryce to just, out of nowhere make a great play, and everybody's like, oh, okay. So I think students took a little bit of adjusting to Jalen Milroe. I think the Texas game being the second game was tough. I mean, that was hard. That was a game that as soon as Texas probably, I guess, lost their, I don't know, did they go 9-3 or 10-2 last year? I can't remember.
I think they were 9-3. I'll double check as you continue.
Because I think they would have lost to us, TCU, and then they lost another. Just like, how did you lose this game? But the whole, with that, like, as soon as last season,
they were 8-5.
Oh, wow. Okay. So even
because they lost to Washington in a bowl game, they lost to TCU, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and Alabama.
Wow. I didn't realize it had gotten that bad. But yeah, so even more to say, like, ever since last season ended, Steve Sarkisian and the whole offense has been, like, the whole staff has been geared to beat Alabama. So getting that game 2 of this season was tough. And I think, you go away after that to USF and just have probably the weirdest game of an Alabama team that I've watched in like the last 10 years. Like I was just very strange, whatever it may be. But I think this team's really grown on the student body. After the Tennessee game, going into halftime, I was like, man, I guess this just isn't the year for us to do something, and the second half that they followed up with, absolutely incredible. I think everybody really loves the leader that Jalen Milroe is. I think back to whenever he threw the touchdown, it was like 45 yards against Ole Miss. Away from the student end zone, but he goes down, stays down for 2 minutes, and then just comes up and punches the air and celebrates. Yeah, exactly. Like that was the moment. That was the moment for me that I was like, "Yep, he has won the campus." I think. It's been a little up and down here and there, but going into this weekend, I think coming off a bye week, getting to celebrate beating Tennessee for 2 straight weeks, you can never complain about that.
Heck no.
It was incredible, truly incredible. But I think everybody's excited for this week, and I think Alabama's got a good advantage going into Saturday. Atmosphere, I mean, for the last year of SEC on CBS, probably the most classic game of the whole CBS era has been Alabama LSU, Saturday night in Tuscaloosa or Death Valley. And the fact that we get that to to have the last SEC West title basically decided. I mean, you can say Alabama's got to go beat Kentucky and Auburn. I think that's secondary to Saturday. Saturday is clearly the biggest game of the year, probably in the SEC, I would say. And I think I'm very excited for it. I think we'll play well.
Well, Alabama 3-point favorite right now. We just got done talking to Kool-Aid McKinstry, J.C. Latham, and Chris Braswell. Yesterday, we talked to Deontay Lawson and Jalen Milroe, and of course, the birthday boy, Coach Nick Saban. Happy birthday, Coach! 72 years old. Jalen Milroe saying, "Oh, he's getting old, but he still acts young." The feel, okay, yesterday on the show, I don't know if you listened to it, and that's okay if you didn't. You can subscribe, rate, and review the show like everybody else on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, at Joe Gaither 6. Do that for everybody. Share the show with a friend. I was feeling very excited and very confident. All right, so I spent the last 12 hours watching LSU tape, and now I've watched LSU Army, I've watched LSU Auburn, I've watched LSU Florida State, and I am less so confident as I was yesterday. I was thinking yesterday, going to be 31-24, 31-26. LSU's offense is damn good. I mean, they're number one in the country for a reason. Jaden Daniels, number one as far as yards for any singular player ahead of Michael Penix. They have skill position players out the wazoo. Now, no Pete Golding on the defensive sideline for Alabama. Kevin Steele coming back, being defensive coordinator. And I do have confidence in Kevin Steele, but my mercy. It's not 2020 LSU. No, it's not that. But it looks kind of like that. I think that they've got skill position all over the field, and I'm a little bit more concerned today than I was yesterday. My feel for games goes kind of from Monday going one way, and then it kind of finally settles on Friday. I'm still unsettled, but I'm less confident today. What's your opinion of this Alabama defense going up against the number one offense in the nation?
Yeah, I think the Alabama defense has earned the right to call themselves top five defense in football. I mean, I think, you look back, and I had a count at one point, but I kind of stopped keeping track after week 6. But basically, like, giving up around one full field touchdown drive a game. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of times where, there was a turnover, short fields, those things. So the scoring defenses, they may not be up there, but I think efficiency-wise, like, they've earned the right to call themselves one of the best. I think when things have been clicking, you've seen them shut down a Bobby Petrino, Jimbo Fisher offense with very good receivers, a pretty good running back, and an average quarterback. So we'll give them the default of that. Shut down Ole Miss, who has put up a lot of points against just about everybody. Shut down Tennessee in the second half. Like, all of those things have just been really, really, really impressive.
Really shut them down in the red zone. Outside of they hit the big touchdown pass to Squirrel White, and then shut them down in the red zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, even the touchdown pass to Squirrel White was truly like the defense just wasn't quite ready for how fast they played on the opening possession, and then Braswell got switched onto him, and I think Chris Braswell is absolutely incredible. You can't expect him to defend a guy named Squirrel White the whole way. So, it's props to Tennessee for taking advantage of that. No, exactly. I think the defense is shut down really well. Two things that I think Tennessee were kind of a good test for is Joe Milton's a really good runner. Now, he's a strong runner. He's not the fastest runner, but he is very smart, which comes with him when you play college football for like 6 years. But I digress. And Jaden Daniels is the same type of runner. Daniels is definitely faster and more agile. I mean, you saw that in the Alabama LSU game last year. You've seen it consistently throughout this season, and really the only time that he's been bottled up was FSU, and they kept him in front. So I think Kevin Steele will definitely be studying tape on that game of the effectiveness of how Florida State contained the quarterback. I think something Tennessee did well to give Joe Milton the option to run was force the edges inside, kind of use their tackles to push our edge rushers inside. So then everybody was here. There's so much space on the outsides. So I think Alabama having that, they definitely adjusted in the second half. So I think that was a very, very good test case for Saturday. But the skill positions, Malik Neighbors is incredible. He's very, very good. I know he doesn't get as many touches, but Aaron Anderson, former Alabama guy, he's very fast and just super good receiver. But I'm very confident in Kool-Aid, McKinstry out wide, Terrion Arnold. I think, offer a little bit of an injury from the Tennessee game, but 2 weeks rest, he'll be good to go. So I feel good about it overall. But it's certainly LSU will score more than teams have otherwise coming into Bryant-Denny. I think it's going to be an offense-first kind of game that we're going to have to put up probably 35 points to win the game, in my opinion.
All right, let me throw some numbers at you, courtesy of our friends Cruz Oxenrider. Makes me feel a little bit better today. You can follow Cruz at Real Cruz Ox. He works for Barstool Sports now, former Alabama graduate. The LSU offense has played the following defenses. Florida State ranked 29th in the country. Grambling State not ranked, obviously not in the same division. Mississippi State 64th. Arkansas 31st. Ole Miss 51st. Mizzou 37th, Auburn 60th, Army 68th. You want to guess where Alabama ranks in total defense?
I guess I'm going to say like 8.
8th is not a bad guess, but Alabama's ranked 17th in total defense as far as yards go. So it will easily be the best defense that LSU has faced this season. And hopefully, as I continue to watch the YouTube, thank God for YouTube, watch LSU and Arkansas and all those other games I have left on my list, I'll be feeling better and better about the game. So let's flip to the other side of the ball. When Alabama has the ball, Jalen Milroe is in control. What's your keys for Alabama moving the football, and then we will move to the round ball, the hard court, and plug Blue Collar Unplugged?
Absolutely. So I think some of the play calling of getting guys out in the flat fast that we saw against Tennessee is going to be really crucial to keep things moving. The O-line, I think, is adjusted throughout the year to where, in the early games where Tommy Rees probably wanted to run some of those things, the O-line just wasn't at a speed where they could do that, but now they are. They've adjusted, they've gelled as a unit. And I'm working on a few things. Probably throw up some graphs on this later this afternoon or later tonight. But the allowed pressure rate for the O-line it's going down. So less pressures getting to the quarterback each game. But I think really critical will be establishing the run game early. I think Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams have been a good 1-2 punch. I thought Jace maybe had his best game against Tennessee as far as power runner, being able to bounce it outside. I mean, he busted a few runs that against Tennessee's run defense is pretty solid. I mean, they lost a lot of guys from last year to this year, but again, they still have kept the run defense overall in a good position. So being able to see Jace do that well, I was very encouraged. So I think you got to establish it early and let Milroe be able to have the option to have the defense shifted off of just the pass a little bit. So, we're going to be looking for a lot of explosive passes. I mean, we've run just about the highest explosive pass rate in the country. It's pretty close to it. So what we'll need on those 20 yards or more passes, we need something else like the run to throw them off a little bit and just kind of not be able to key in on one thing. And two, I think receivers just really establishing themselves well is going to be crucial. I think Burton's done that very well. Isaiah Bond has done that pretty well. I think if we have a third guy, I think Malik Benson is pushing. I think he's ready to go. And I know we saw some things. It looked like yesterday somebody had pictures from practice that looked like Kendrick Law was in the backfield.
I think Kendrick Law is going to get used a lot in many different ways right now. He got 2 different jet motion pop passes. One he took for about 25 yards, and the other was like a 5-yarder. But I think they're going to be working that into the offense a bit more.
Awesome, yeah, I think that's critical. Like whenever the run game, if you can't get it super well, you need something quick that kind of functions as the run, and those little pop passes and things like that, I think will be really, really important. And just having that as a threat. So, just being able to get from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 6 or into 3rd and 4 rather than 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, I think is absolutely critical. So first down success on offense is really, really important. I think the only thing I've really enjoyed Tommy Rees this year, I think he's gotten a lot of undue hate just from people wanting to be mad about things, which, that's what Twitter is for, or X is for, I guess. But I think he has really come into his own, and there have been a lot of things that he's done well. And I think we're going to continue to see that this weekend. But him being able to just get a little bit more crafty, come up with things. And I think the biggest thing is after a big explosive play, if we have a 35-yard pass but goes down, is what's next? The first play after that. You don't have to go back to vanilla. It's just, let's try another pop pass. Let's string together some plays. Explosive play after that. But I'm really excited to see this game. I think this is easily going to be the most fun game of my student career. Hopefully we come out on top decisively and then sit pretty squarely in control of our own destiny.
Absolutely. Jacob Pickle is going to be in the student section leading the charge for the Noise. All Kool-Aid McKinstry, J.C. Latham, and Chris Braswell all complimenting the crowd from the Tennessee game and asking for the same effort or more. And you'll get it from the students, but ideally you get it from all 100,000 people all in the stadium. It's a night game. You'll have plenty of time to get lubed up. The lights will be going. The sun will set early, so you'll have Club Dub, Club Crimson in there. It's going to be all kinds of crazy on Saturday night. We'll be there for BamaCentral.com. I'll be in there in the press box with Austin Hannon and Katie Wyndham. I think we'll have our friend Blake Byler as well. So it's going to be a blast. Alabama 3-point favorite right now. We'll continue to talk about football throughout the week. I'm in the same camp as you are, Jacob. Tommy Reese has gotten better with each and every game, and he was really in his bag in the second half of the Tennessee game as things were really kind of starting to put together, both for the offensive line for Jalen Milroe and I think for himself as well. So let's flip to Crimson Chaos. Let's flip to basketball. Just a handful of minutes left. We're going to have with Jacob. He's going to have a huge episode with Blue Collar Unplugged here in about an hour. They're going to get ready for it. Big old interview. All right. So you lose to Wake Forest. Oh, no. You lose to Wake Forest. No Mark Steers. You don't have Brandon Miller off to the NBA. And, you haven't gotten past the Sweet 16, with Nate Oates. He's got the same little hiccup as Wimp Sanderson. We get to the Sweet 16 with a great team. You end up with a great draw. Tough stuff. What's going to be the mission for Crimson Chaos this year? Obviously, loud and proud, but what's going to be the Jacob Pickle signature, the stamp on Crimson Chaos that you are looking to provide? Obviously, you got to have good buy-in, so it's not all about what Jacob Pickle does, but what's going to be your thought process or your, this is what I hope to do with Crimson Chaos this year in Coleman Coliseum?
Absolutely. I think my biggest goal this year is to get as many fans, as many students more familiar with kind of maybe expectation-wise for basketball. I think a lot of times, 2 seasons ago, we could struggle with student attendance at times in the ruts and up and downs of games. But being able to show students how much of an impact they can make in a game, and I think, listen, Nick Saban's been doing my job for me. We're going to have those clips going out of him from Hey Coach a few weeks ago talking about the difference that students can make. But I think getting students to really believe that and buy in on that will be huge for me. Two on just kind of I say technical, really not all that technical, but chant side of things. We've been cooking up some new stuff, so hopefully we'll get to roll those out in full force by conference play. Maybe go a little bit more like European soccer crowd style and just let's go Bama all the time, which is great, but hopefully some variability in there. That's my goal. That's, like I say, I hope to leave. And ultimately I want to continue to make sure that basketball is a place where everybody feels valued and all sports and athletics on campus. We feel like we've done a good job with that so far with soccer and volleyball this season of hey, you can know a little bit about the sport, or a lot about the sport, but we're all here supporting the team. Let's just buy in and enjoy it and have a good time together. So that's ultimately my goal, is just to provide a space on campus and specifically in Coleman where students feel like they can come and be themselves and enjoy and support the Tide.
Well, let me just throw an example from last year, and actually that was one of the topics that I talked about yesterday, was the positive energy, a little bit of a blind optimism between the start of the game and the end of the game, even if the game's not going so well. You saw that against Tennessee, but let's just talk about an example right from last year. You're 19 points down with Auburn, last game of the year, and the crowd was lit the entire game, and really – yes, the players played. The players did the job, and they obviously executed at a high level, played good defense, and came back. And thank God for JQ, leading that comeback. You can feel whatever kind of way you want about JQ, but he was very impactful in that ball game. Just talk about that. The kind of, obviously you can criticize on Twitter after the game. You can be upset and complain after the game, but in between, where the ball is tipped off and then all the way to double zeros, we're all in and we're supporting the team. Talk about that Auburn game, the big comeback, and just kind of what it meant to be a part of the crowd that brought everybody back.
Truly one of the coolest experiences I've had as a sports fan. That was absolutely incredible. I think it was the 9 or 10 minute mark, we looked around, I was looking at the score and it just wasn't getting better. But students didn't leave, and that's I think a big thing that surely we've seen at football games in the past, seen it down at Auburn this weekend and past weekends, but gotta get my digs in. But with that, like we've seen crowds of students kind of fade in the past. So seeing them buy in and like be able to trust the team and know that it was gonna happen, and also providing the energy for them. I mean, you could start to see it like as soon as Janai Broom went out with his 5th foul, everybody kind of looked around and realized what was happening. And like I distinctly remember like a few of us kind of looked at each other on the floor. We were like, we're winning this basketball game. Like we're gonna get them there. And they played excellent. I mean, I go back and watch those highlights about once a week. I mean, getting to see that is so incredibly cool. And I think students with that buy-in, I'm hoping that was kind of a lasting memory of everybody that was able to be there or wasn't able to be there and got to watch it on TV, that will carry into this year and get them really excited for basketball. I know I've kind of just in my classes, whenever I talk about it, some people know my position, some people don't. As long as they're going to games and everything and supporting, that's all that matters to me. But we've talked about fan experience, and just about all season, everybody's been like, I'm really excited for basketball games and to go and be a part of it. So I think the student population is buzzing. I know we don't have the biggest homecoming or non-conference matchups at home in the next few weeks, but hopefully for that Clemson game in 4 weeks from today, we'll have a massive showing.
Well, it's not about, the opponents, but really it's about Alabama basketball fans and Alabama fans love Nate Oates and love what he's building right here. Yeah, you picked 5th in the SEC, but I think the media got it wrong. You're going to be competing for another SEC championship. It starts next Monday. You're going to be right there, Morehead State. Who cares if it's Morehead State? Show the team that you care about the team. It's going to be a cheap ticket to get to, or free ticket for your student section. It starts right there on Monday. Give us one last little thought process on how far this team can go basketball-wise, and get them in there on Monday, and then we'll talk about Blue Collar Unplugged.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think truly like the athletes on this team and the versatility, everybody can play 2 positions or more. I mean, we actually ran out Grant Nelson at the small forward, a 6'11" dude at small forward. That's stupid. Like, that's ridiculous. So I think this team has so much versatility, and it may take a little bit of time to gel together and on the court with the product, as often it is with Nate Oates' defenses and learning those things. But I think come March, like this is the type of team that you could see make a really deep run. There's a lot of age. There's some veterans in there that have been around. They've won games. They've been to the tournament. They've played against tournament teams, and this is the type of team that you can get excited about. And this is the type of team in March that just goes in and does it. So I'm very excited to see it. I am ready to enjoy the season and hopefully, win some more trophies and get them to Tuscaloosa.
What time on Monday will we all be packed into Coleman Coliseum?
So there is a women's basketball opener. So it's the doubleheader with women's and men's. So the men's game will start at 7:30ish. The women's is at 5. I encourage you to come out and support the women as well. They've got a great came off a good run last season. They're going to be great again this season. Coach Curry has been just so true and steady. So show up for the women's game, support them. I think you really enjoy the product, and I think we're going to put a whooping on Monday. So men's game will start about 7:30. It should be 30 minutes after their game ends. But it's the best time to get there. It'd be 5 p.m. or earlier on Monday for the women's game.
It's going to be a blast, and I encourage everybody to get in there, support the Crimson Tide right off the bat. Let them know that you care about basketball. I know, look, football is king, and we don't want to take an ounce away from football, but who cares about Monday Night Football in the NFL? There's nothing going on football-wise. Get into Coleman Coliseum, support the ladies, support the men. Let's get basketball season started off right. And the other way that you can get basketball season started off right is by subscribing to Blue Collar Unplugged. These guys are going into year number 2 or 3.
Year number 3.
Year number 3 of Blue Collar Unplugged. You can find them at all the places where I've already listed my show: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, everywhere that you can get podcasts. Jacob Pickle co-host with Blake Byler and Matthew Gibson. You've already heard them on the program. Tell everybody who you're going to have today, and really, what's the goal for Blue Collar Unplugged this year?
Absolutely. So we're gonna have Seth Greenberg from ESPN on to talk. Former college basketball coach, Virginia Tech, and now one of the lead analyst at ESPN. Super gracious and kind guy. We were really excited to have him on, and he was in I don't even know what city Wake Forest is in. I'm gonna be honest.
Winston-Salem.
That's right. They left me. But he was in Winston-Salem on Sunday, so he was there watching the game. So get to hear some good insight.
The Wake Forest coach a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was good. But no, we're going to have Seth on today. Talk to him about the Tide Hoops, the national scene, the SEC. Really, really excited to get to talk with him, and it's just great connection to be able to get there and have him on.
Well, follow them. You guys have a Twitter and everything, and Instagram, a Facebook, and where else? Where can they find Blue Collar Unplugged on social media?
Yeah, so it's on Twitter at BCU Podcast. I believe. Let me double check because we have a different thing for the email and all that. Yeah, BCU Podcast.
Yeah, go ahead.
So BCU Podcast. Give us a follow. We'll have some more weekly episodes coming out, as well as some various graphics and kind of more insight, and also links to writings from Blake and Matthew and everybody else at BamaCentral.
Well, you can find them right there on BamaCentral as well, right there on the front page. We look forward to listening to the conversation with Seth Greenberg tomorrow morning. Hopefully, as everybody gets their Wednesday rolling, we'll be, 6 days away from Alabama basketball tipping off. Look, if you didn't get to see the scrimmage against Wake Forest, that's okay. No one did. You had to be in person to see it or listen to it on the radio. So you'll be able to hear what Seth Greenberg thought. He's got a very discerning eye. He was at SEC Media Day 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. He heard from Nate Oates, he heard from Aaron Estrada and Mark Sears. Obviously, no Mark Sears in either of the first two scrimmages, so I don't know that you should take the results too much to heart, but it's going to be a great conversation with Seth Greenberg on Blue Collar Unplugged. We tell you to subscribe each and every day, and now you have a real reason to listen. Episode 2 of season number 3 dropping tomorrow with Seth Greenberg, ESPN Seth Greenberg. He's borderline Hall of Famer, ain't he? Borderline Hall of Famer, Virginia Tech, great. Been on ESPN for a long, long time. You hear him on College Game Day, so you're going to get great expertise on Blue Collar Unplugged today and tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Follow Pickle at Pickle07 on the X Machine. We appreciate his time. He's going to be leading Crimson Chaos. He's going to be the guy in the plaid jacket, wearing the Coach Sanderson jacket. We got to get you guys hooked up with Coach Sanderson as well. That'll be a great conversation. Coach is a riot. He's so much fun to talk to. And really, I'm looking forward to basketball season. I'm looking forward to listening to y'all's conversation with Seth Greenberg. Anything that I left off the table that you might want to get to or promote before we get you out of here?
I think that's just about everything. You did appreciate you letting me come on and promote, and having me on today and getting to talk some ball of all variety. So it's awesome. I appreciate you having me on, Jeff.
We'll keep the student section really fired up this weekend in Bryant-Denny Stadium and just carry the momentum from Saturday into Monday. And we'll look forward to watching all the sports compete at a high level the rest of this calendar year and academic calendar year.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. That's Jacob Pickle joining us, the president of Crimson Chaos, joining us on the program today. We're going to call it a program right there. He's going to go get ready for their conversation with Seth Greenberg. Those guys, Blue Collar Unplugged, yes, they do a great job. Year number 3 of Blue Collar Unplugged. We're going to be talking to Seth Greenberg today, ESPN College Game Day. You all see him, and he's going to give them great insight. He gave me great insight 2 weeks ago. He was one of my several guests on the SEC Media Day shows. I'm so appreciative of Seth Greenberg. I'm so appreciative that those guys made that connection. Matthew made a connection with him at SEC Media Days, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Look, here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to talk to Matt Moscana. Matt Moscana handles radio down in Louisiana. Matt, let me make sure where he's located. In Lafayette, Alexandria, New Orleans, Baton Rouge. He's going to be all over the place, 3 to 6 on ESPN in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, Lafayette, Lake Charles. He's all over the place covering the LSU Tigers, covering really the Saints, but we don't care about the Saints on this program this week. Yeah, Saints, if you're a Saints fan, no disrespect there. It's all about the LSU Tigers, the Bayou Bengals. We're going to get great expertise from Matt Moscana. He's actually jumping on the air right now, 3 o'clock. He's going to join us tomorrow morning before his air shift. We'll be live at 11, and we'll post it at our normal time. It's going to be a blast to hear from Matt Moscana. We'll reach out to another so-and-so, another LSU expert or two, try to see if we can't squeeze somebody fun in on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to do Football Friday with the BamaCentral crew. It's going to be a lot of fun breaking down the LSU game with Katie Wyndham, Austin Hannon, whoever else we can find, maybe Chris Walsh, maybe Wyatt Fulton, whoever else we can find on the BamaCentral crew doing Football Friday on Friday. Look, I appreciate everybody who's subscribed to the show already. You can subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Joe Gaither 6. Of course, you can subscribe to the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You'll never miss an episode there either at BamaCentral on YouTube. We appreciate everybody who's tuned in to the show so far. We're episode 111, 112, something in that range. We've had a lot of fun at BamaCentral. Thank you to Chris Walsh for putting me on each and every day. Thank you to God, really giving me a platform, giving me a voice, and giving me a little bit of an audience. I appreciate the audience so much. Chiming in on my Facebook, on my Twitter, on my YouTube, on my Instagram. You can find me at Joe Gaither 6. Send me a like, a comment, friend request, whatever you like, and we will we'll chop it up, talking ball, talking life, talking whatever you want to on my social medias at Joe Gaither 6. So it's going to be Matt Moscona tomorrow. But before we hear from Matt Moscona, you're going to listen to Blue Collar Unplugged. Jacob Pickle, Matthew Gibson, and Blake Filer. They're going to be joined by Seth Greenberg, ESPN Seth Greenberg, tomorrow morning. They're going to drop that episode, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun here at the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network for the rest of the year. So for Jacob Pickle, appreciate him joining me, the president of Crimson Chaos. You'll be able to see him on the front row of the student section the rest of the year, and for all of the basketball games starting on Monday, doubleheader, ladies and men's, a doubleheader on Monday. We'll be back with Matt Moscona tomorrow for another episode of the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral